video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all.
Why, hello there. It is me, your right honourable fellow, Camel Finance. And with the bull market in swing and a Bitcoin rally to new all-time highs, I simply had to invest in a new monocle and pimp cane in preparation for pimping these hoes in the not-too-distant future. Oh dear. Look, bull markets will drive you insane, as you can see, right? They'll drive you insane. And people, I think, are just kind of realizing this now, that there's many different experiences for many different people in these Bitcoin bull markets, right? When price moves into price discovery, you see this from multiple different angles. Everyone is having a slightly different experience here. Some people that got in at the lows are sitting back and enjoying the ride. Some people that are completely underexposed now are having kittens, wondering, do I FOMO in and buy the top? Is this thing going to go on forever? Well, I thought there'd be a pullback right now, and they're dying of stress. There's going to be many, many people that allow greed, euphoria to get the better of them. They're probably sat on life-changing money and possibly have the opportunity to sort their life out in or make significant changes, whether it's paying off a mortgage or buying a first-time house or whatever. And those people are going to get, if they get this right, be able to change their life. But many of them are going to get it wrong through greed. And the whole problem with these bull markets, and I think a lot of people are realizing this, is when you are in a market that is trending down, you constantly feel like you're overexposed. And no matter how much of a position you've got relative to your net worth, no matter how exposed you think you are to a market, when a rip-roaring bull market is occurring, everybody feels underexposed. Everybody feels like you haven't got enough, you should have bought more. And I think a lot of people are kind of realizing now, right, that they thought this would be the easy part, getting a big pump, making some money and selling it. But actually, this is the most dangerous part of the cycle for a number of reasons. So today, I'm largely going to point at a few things and just say, look how bullish Bitcoin is. And then I want to talk about this and discuss this because on the one hand, we want to enjoy this, right? This is supposed to be a fun experience. We're supposed to be able to make some jokes and enjoy some memes and make some money and hopefully better our quality of lives and maybe be able to help some people around us as well, depending on what stage you're at. And at the same time, you do have to remember this is business, okay? There's a lot of people that you are up against in this game because this is player versus player, okay? For you to sell at the right time, it means some poor some poor guy has to buy at the top, right? If you're going to sell the top, that means somebody has to buy it off you. So this is a zero-sum game. It is not noble stuff. And it's very, very easy, especially if you're new to the space, especially if you're not used to making these types of gains, or especially if you went all in and now you feel like a genius, right? If you bought 20K or sub 20K and now it's at 90K, you're probably patting yourself on the back going, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing, right? But the reality is none of this is real until it's realized. And many, many, many people will F this up. And that's what I want to kind of touch on today. I want to kind of point at this and explain to you why this is so dangerous. You should be stressed now because you are against people that do this professionally. You're against people that take this incredibly seriously. You're against people that have the discipline to sell into you as you're FOMO buying the top, right? So this is no joke. Yes, it's fun. Yes, my pimp cane is ready for the celebrations, okay? But understand this, okay? Under the hood, I'm more stressed now than ever before because I know exactly how difficult it is to sell these tops. I know how hard it is to manage expectations. I know where the temptation sits to start to look at your stack every day and go, look how much money I've got relative to 12 months ago, right? Or look how much gains I've made in a very short space of time, right? It's very easy to do that. It's very easy to start walking around with a bit of a swagger in your step, thinking you're something, right? But the reality is you ain't nothing, okay? You're the same person as 12 months ago, just that your Bitcoin bags have gone up a bit or your altcoin bags, whatever it may be. And again, okay, none of this is real unless you actually realize the gain. The other thing that people are going to get wrong massively here is they're going to sell too early, watch the thing continue to rip, and then they're potentially going to be FOMOing in at the top. One of the biggest things here is people will apply excess leverage, or they'll think this market's got plenty of legs and they'll start to go into more risky assets. And believe me, I speak from experience here, it is way easier to mess this whole cycle up in the next 8 weeks than it has been for the entire rest of the 2 years that we've just moved through, okay? Ever since the lows till now, it's actually been the easiest it's going to be. And the next few weeks or months, however long this thing lasts, is by far and away the most difficult. So yes, we can have some fun, right? But at the same time, like I said, you really do need to internalize this. This isn't a joke. And even if it's a joke to you, even if it's funny to you, there are many, many people out there that, for all intents and purposes, are sharks, okay? You're fish in the sea with a bunch of very, very predatory sharks that take this stuff very, very seriously, and they will eat you alive, okay? Because they don't play at this game. You might think you're dabbling in meme coins or whatever else. You might think you're something because your bags are up 1000x. But the reality is, okay, like I said, this is a very, very hostile environment, and you have to take this seriously because there are many people out there that do take this seriously. And that is who you are up against. So I'm going to burn through a few tabs because there's way too many of these as quickly as I can, and then we're going to sort of discuss this and try to view this from as many different people's perspectives as possible, so that hopefully I can cover your perspective and share a little bit of experience with you. So first of all, I said yesterday, less is more. And what I really meant by that, Bob actually wrote this morning. He said he knows it feels super extended when you look at the Bitcoin price. You know, your altcoins are popping off, and everyone wants to lock in some profit before this expected 3-day plunge, just so you can buy back lower. Okay, whether that tops out at 90k and then slams back down to 80 or whatever the number is, it always feels like, oh, I know what's coming next. I need to take some profit here and buy back lower. That will add to my stack. That will give me more exposure because I'm currently underexposed, right? Mind has a way of convincing us this is the kind of thing that's worthwhile. But as difficult as it is, this is all thinking emotionally. Real risk here is 5 more days of up only, okay? And you took profit at 90k, thinking you could buy back at 80, only to be looking at a 100 or a 110 or 120k Bitcoin price, and then you're in a very, very bad place, okay? So just respect the bull. Respect that you don't have to sell every top and buy every low. You don't have to keep trying to double your stack. You don't have to keep adding on leverage and add in size and add in risk via other instruments, okay? You should have your position by now, and if you do, then you're your own worst enemy. Trying to get cute with your position, trying to do too much, okay, is just going to put you in a bad situation. You want to just sit back and let this thing play out, give it the space to breathe, and let the market give what the market is going to give. The more you try to get involved here, unless you're a highly, highly, highly experienced trader that does this all day long, every day, and have been doing so for many, many years, then you don't want to be getting cute with your position. You want to just sit back and let this trend play out. Just 1 week ago, we were at 67.6k, and now we're over 84k. I think we're near a 90k as of the time of recording. Pretty wild, okay? Also, Bitcoin's market cap just overtook silver, and I believe the whole space just overtook $3 trillion as of yesterday. We're seeing things like BlackRock's ETF do $1 billion in trading volume in just 35 minutes yesterday as well. So, you know, this FOMO is extending outside of this space in terms of, it's not just the crypto guys, the people that have been here the whole time that are aping into this space now. We're institutions and people with normal sort of retail share accounts or SIPs or whatever also aping into this thing and buying the tops. Speaking of buying the tops, okay, Michael Saylor just bought another 27,200 Bitcoin at about 74k, I think it was. So whilst everyone else is scared to buy here, Saylor does not give a single iota and is continuing to buy multiple billions at new all-time highs. And we have finally reached the stage where people are now victory lapping their P&L wins on social media. It's been an observation of mine that this has been going on for a little longer than anticipated. So either that means that it started kind of earlier, or I think it's probably going to become incredibly insufferable over the next few weeks. Like, we've probably not seen anything yet in terms of P&Ls and that kind of thing. But this is usually not a good sign, okay? When all you can see on your feed is people screenshotting their trades and telling you how awesome they are, okay? It normally means we're reaching euphoria and greed and the top is close. We're also seeing a bunch of this stuff, right? Biggest weekly candle ever for Bitcoin. But the reality is, okay, as the price goes up, you know, if we're at 90k, then a 10% move in a single day is $9,000. That's how we get this now, okay? Whereas obviously when Bitcoin was $1,000, to move $9,000 in a single candle would have just been unreasonable, right? So I would kind of look at this stuff with a little bit of caution. Like, yes, objectively it's true. That's the biggest dollar value weekly candle and the biggest single dollar value daily candle ever in history. But that's just going to keep happening as the price moves higher, right? So don't allow this kind of thing to cause you to have FOMO or any of that. 11 days in November so far, and we're up about 23%, something akin to that. But the average of November stands at 44%. So we might actually only be halfway there for the month of November. There is still a lot of room to go. And so with all of that pointed out, I've been seeing an awful lot of people asking these kind of questions. This guy said, he says, most of my money's invested in crypto, but he feels like he should have taken more risk, okay? How to balance managing risk versus feeling like you should have taken more risk at better times. In a bull market, the tendency is to always think, I should have bought more, I need to take more risk here, and all of these kind of things. But the absolute truth of the matter is, you have to manage your expectations and you have to understand where we are in the cycle. Telling yourself you are underexposed, or telling yourself you should be taking more risk should be quite an alarming stance. This should be another day in the office. There should be a standard risk management template that you follow as a trader, and that applies in all times and all market conditions. Okay, the only time you should mess around with your risk management strategy is when things are going really bad. Then you might want to become even tighter with the risk management. But risk management should not get looser over time. It should not get looser because we're in a bull market. And you have to learn to manage expectations. Like, just causing yourself emotional and mental pain if you're sitting there going, well, if I'd have invested another 10,000, I would have had more money. Well, yeah, okay. If my grandmother had wheels, she would have been a bike, right? Like, what are we doing here? This is ridiculous. And so when I was talking earlier on about bull market being this part of the cycle being the most dangerous, this is where all of the narratives come out. This is where people start to convince themselves that it's going up forever. It's not going to stop short. A super cycle is here. I'm seeing these people saying like, well, what about the US? That's putting a permanent bid. What about Michael Saylor? He's putting a permanent bid. Well, there's just not enough Bitcoin to go around. Look, at some point, people with a lot more Bitcoin than you are going to start selling. And when they do, we're going to have too much supply and it's going to cause a downtrend. That's exactly how markets work. So the whole fallacy, and it is just that there's not enough Bitcoin to go around, only applies until people start selling Bitcoin. And then what we see is oversupply. And people have a lot bigger bags than most people are able to buy. And they're going to get unwound. Those positions need to be cashed out. So at some point, right now there might not be enough supply to go around. That might be why the price is squeezing higher for sure. But later in life, like I said, there's going to be a massive oversupply problem, and that's how we get bear markets. So I think the point I'm trying to make here is we have to manage expectations. And that means if you think you're going to nail the top and flip short at the Pico top, okay, and then short the entire move, that's another thing I see all the time. I can't wait to short the top of this thing, right? With due respect, what makes you think you're going to short the top? Is that something you're used to doing? Do you short the top of every market? Do you really? I mean, or is this just utter delusion that you're going to snipe the top and short and close it at the bottom, right? Like, what are we really saying here? Have you got an IQ north of 170, right? Are you Michael Burry? Probably not, right? So I can't wait to short the top. Yeah, I bet you can't. But doing it and saying it are two completely different things. You should not even be thinking about shorting this market at the moment until we've found the top, okay? Tops, sometimes they happen very, very quickly. Parabolic up, parabolic down. But other times, they take a long time. They can be really sneaky. You can get like a slightly higher high. Sometimes they can be really, really sneaky, okay? And we don't know which one it's going to be yet. Now, I have my sneaky suspicions that this is going to be very up and then very down. That's what I think. But, I've been wrong plenty of times, and it doesn't matter, right? But for now, the focus should be on staying on this trend. Staying on this trend and managing expectations. If you think, let's say arbitrary number, the top is 150k. If you think you're going to sell 150, 149, 148, okay, you are delusional. Absolutely delusional. You're not going to, if the top is 150, you're probably going to miss it by 10 or 20k. Okay. And if that's your expectation, I'll be lucky to get out at 140. Okay. Now we're starting to have real world conversations. If you're, happy to see a 150k top and you actually exit the market at 130, now we're starting to talk like a professional here, okay? And again, I bet you won't find this on other channels. Everyone will be told, I'm going to flip short at 150 exactly and then short this thing all the way down to the bottom. I mean, you're living in la la land, okay? This is business, and you might be asleep when 150k is printed because this market runs 24/7, okay? So we have to manage expectations. You have to understand, I want to be getting, extra leverage, getting stopped out, getting chopped up. Right now, this market has shot straight up from about 60k to 90k. And at some point, there's going to be a nasty, violent shakeout. And if you start adding leverage, going up the risk curve, going to the extremes, by the time we get into this neighborhood, okay, then a 30 or 40% flash crash correction, which is very, very, very common and typical for Bitcoin, by the way. We haven't seen many of them this cycle. I don't think we've seen any 40% actually. But in prior bull runs, it threw 30 and 40% corrections for sport. And if you think that you're going to be climbing the risk curve, adding leverage, adding size, buying all these insane, ultra high risk meme coins or whatever else, and then somehow when this 40% correction comes, you're not going to flinch, okay, then again, you're delusional. You're living in la la land, okay? If you're leveraged, leveraged to the gills, you've got too much size, too much risk. When this eventually does throw a 40% correction, and I'm pretty sure it's going to in the not too distant future, by the way, when it does, okay, you're going to get smashed. This is how you ruin the entire cycle. Many people do everything right. They get down at the lows, okay, they ride the trend, they DCA up, and now by the time they get here, they've actually made life-changing money. And all they have to do is know that at some point we're going to get a shakeout and then a final push, and if you can sell somewhere up here and then buy somewhere close to the 4-year cycle low, this is how you change your life permanently, okay? Very, very basic stuff. One trade here, maybe DCA on the way up, maybe add a couple of play trades with small risk, okay? And then, like I said, sell somewhere near the top and buy somewhere near the bottom. But what does everyone else do? Everyone else goes, nah, I'm not buying that, not buying that, not buying that. Okay, all in here. Okay, actually panic sell here. And now they're going, oh, okay, this bull market's for real. Time to get on max leverage, right? Or maybe you do the whole cycle correct and then you get to here and you go max leverage, max exposure, max meme coins, whatever else, max gains. And then this is how you ruin the entire 2 years of hard work. It took 2 years of hard work and discipline to get to this point. And if you go up the risk curve, up the leverage, up the size, then we get a 40% shakeout, you're going to get liquidated. And then this entire 2 years that you sat through, tuned into videos every day, looked at charts every 5 minutes, right? All of that stuff would have been for nothing because you get liquidated on a quick flash crash that, guess what, ultimately resolves probably to a price double this one, okay? So I am ranting here, but this is the real world, okay? This is what it's like to be a trader. You have to understand these things and you have to be able to know your place, okay? You're not Warren Buffett, you're not Michael Burry, you're not going to short the top, okay? You're probably not even going to sell the top. Many people watching this video, by the way, are not going to flip and sell at all. You realize that? You realize that they're going to get to the top and they're going to be screaming super cycle. It's going to crash 40% really quick. And they're going, wow, I'm not selling there. Should have sold here. I'll just hold till it bounces. And it will do this and it will roll over again. And they go, well, I wasn't selling there or there or there. So I definitely can't sell now. It can't go much lower. And then it does this. Okay. And then they get down here and they finally go, oh gosh, what have I done? I've ruined my entire life. I had life-changing money here and I got none left. Okay. Well, I'm just walking away from the space because Bitcoin is a scam. And then you better believe we're going to do 50 to 100x out of that 4-year cycle low on record QE and Fed balance sheet expansion. Okay. But this is, it's easy to say this. Okay, it's easy for you to watch the video and go, oh yeah, I'm not going to be that guy, okay? But unless you have a proven track record of not being that guy, okay? Unless this is your third cycle and you've already done it twice before, then you probably, statistically speaking, are going to do this. You're going to be one of these people that puts too much size leverage on here, okay? Ruins this, can't sell this, or why would I sell that? I'll just wait for it to recover, okay? This is how the majority of market participants behave. So if you can understand this, at least that's one step. But the other thing you have to realize is, like I said a million times, this is the most dangerous part of the cycle. You should be quite stressed out right now, okay? Because what's ahead is very, very difficult. Fear of missing out, greed, euphoria. It's way, way, way harder to manage those emotions than it is to just say, well, it's down 80%, I might as well buy here. No one else wants to buy, I'll just buy a bit, right? It's way easier to buy a bear market low than it is to sell a bull market top. So that's quite the rant. This question is absolutely not unique, okay? There are so many people talking about this at the moment. Oh, can I buy now? Camel, can you give a signal in the members section? Camel, hypothetically, if you had no Bitcoin, what would you do? If my staffy had a long neck, it would be a giraffe, right? Like, what are these questions? This is not real life, okay? In the real world, the reality is, if you're showing up now, you're very, very late, okay? And the odds are against you, and it's going to be actually a lot easier for you to try to just play small, try to make a little bit of money here or there, and accept the fact that you have showed up to the market at the top, okay? If I was entering now, okay, hypothetically, if I had no Bitcoin and I turned up now with all of my knowledge and experience, what would I do? I'd be thinking, oh, maybe wait for a pullback. And that pullback might not come until 120K, okay? But at least at some point, a cycle low will show up, and that gives me a high probability setup with a hard invalidation to manage the risk around, okay? I'll be thinking about playing a bounce out of that. And once I played a bounce and took some profit, my focus would actually be ultra long term on how can I accumulate the most amount of cash whilst I wait for that 4-year cycle low. At the 4-year cycle low, that is where the opportunity comes, okay? But right now, everyone's going to be telling you, go all in, go on leverage, buy meme coins, right? The reality is you're really, really, really late, okay? And I'm going to show you just how late you are. And again, it's okay to be late, okay? But what it's not okay to do is show up to this space late and then ruin your life financially, okay? That's absolutely not okay. It's also not okay to have done everything right up to this point and then allow greed and the dream of owning a Lamborghini, okay, which realistically you probably couldn't even drive. This is so funny. I hear this all the time. I can't wait to buy a Lambo. Have you ever driven a powerful car before? You can't even press the pedals in the same manner, right? Like, you're just going to spin it. You're just going to spin it and bin it, okay? Somebody needs to have these, open and honest conversations. You have to get used to squeezing the pedals rather than stamping on them. You know, like, anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. But let's have a look at how late we are, because Coinbase, for example, is now the number 2 financial app in the App Store and has climbed all the way to 33. Okay, now you might be thinking, well, it's got a long way to go, right, before this is near 5 or 10. But remember, it's only about 2 weeks ago that it was down at the bottom at around 500. So it's making big moves here. Pred nails it, lol. Yeah, lol. But it's not funny, right, Pred? Because this means we're getting closer than you might think. Now, to visualize this whole Coinbase app ranking, okay, shout out Bitcoin Data 21 here. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were all the way down here in terms of Coinbase in the App Store and its rank. And now look, okay, shooting up. Now this to me looks, let me get a straight line actually, suspiciously like initial pump from back here, okay? This one right here, which coincided with this. Now, there was a long way to go, okay, but again, we've covered a lot of ground very quickly. It makes sense based on where we are with the 5th wave in the Elliott wave system and that 3rd and final blow off top angle. Also, Robin Hood, check that out, okay? Let's get a magnifying glass. We don't use this enough. Have a look at that. Okay, so people are pouring into this space and they're doing so when there's not a lot of time left. Now, this is Bitcoin Data 21's own metric. And you can see this thing's got a little bit of space to go, which is quite a relief to me, to be honest, because it means at least we've got a little bit more time to let this bull market play out. Google searches for Bitcoin still got plenty of space, nowhere near prior top levels. So there's a little bit of space here, and the Coinbase thing is somewhat concerning to me, I'm not going to lie. But so far, we probably still have a lot to go in terms of price. I'm not convinced there's a lot of time left, and I'm going to show you that as well. The reason I wanted to bring this up is, you know how a whole heap of the market right now is saying it can't go much higher than this? Right, this is going to be a trap and distribution, or a trap and 49k, and then we can have the real bull market, all of that stuff, okay? But take a look at this. We got a couple of other examples here, okay? Another one of these expanding, broadening wedges, breakout, market goes a lot higher, all right? A lot higher. It does not poke up above here and then resolve to the downside. And we see the exact same thing in this example right here. Okay, we got, again, an expanding, broadening wedge, just like Bitcoin had when it reached 73k, bounced around, lower 49k, and then broke out. Okay, and again, we are here right now. And people are saying, oh, I know what comes next. This, and then this. No, I don't think so, respectfully. Or maybe this is up thrust in distribution before this, which is a non-zero probability, although it's not my base case by any means. But the reason I bring this up, okay, is look what happens thereafter. Okay, it goes a lot higher. So I still make the case that the people calling for this to be a trap that resolves to the downside are flat wrong about this. And you know, when we go back here and we've got another expanding, broadening wedge, we've only just broken out. So is it reasonable to say, I know what comes next? This. Personally, I don't think so. I think we're probably going to get something much more like this. So long and strong there, okay? But we're not done on the ultra bullish talk just yet, because we've got an absolutely flawless signal telling us the best part of the Bitcoin bull run is here, okay? And that is the RSI when it moves above 70. A lot of people get that wrong and say, well, it's overbought, but look how overbought Bitcoin likes to go on the 2-month RSI, okay? Lots of space above here, and usually that coincides with big, explosive, expansive moves for Bitcoin. Peter Brand as well, 50+ year veteran in the markets, measured move in green here to here, which is the low to the top of the trend line. Copy and paste that up here to give us a measured move target, and it is north of $250,000. Okay, that's pretty wild. That is absolutely wild, and against a backdrop of everyone that thinks 80, 85, 90k is the top. And again, tying this in with what I was saying earlier, okay, our job is to not get cute here, to not say, wow, I'll just sell 90k and buy back at 85, or I'll just sell 100k and buy back at 80. You have no idea this is going to look like that, or if this is just going to look like this, 150k, pullback, 250k. You have no idea, right? So the last thing you want to be doing is playing for pips in here when, for all we know, a huge expansive move is coming. And you might think that's crazy, okay? But again, I say this all the time, Bitcoin loves to do Bitcoin things. That move right there, okay, from the breakout, you know, it fell short. I wonder if I can make this bigger, okay? Roughly about that, okay? Now, it could easily be this, and that would just give us our measured move. This is what I mean by Bitcoin can and will do Bitcoin things. It convinces everyone in the world it's not going to pump again, and then it just does normal Bitcoin things, which is have this huge expansive blow off top move. And if it was to do something like that, okay, then very few people, again, are positioned to capture that. So we do, you know, if this is on the table, and we don't know, okay, because breakouts can fail, but if something like this is ahead of us, Does it really matter about taking a bit of profit at 90k and trying to reallocate it at 82k? Does that really matter? Or is what's important here staying on top of this trend and trying to just give the market the space to breathe and let the market give you whatever it's going to give you? Okay, I suggest to you, again, less is more here. If you are late to the market and you're thinking, well, what do I do? What do I do? Well, there's nothing wrong with taking a position, okay, so long as it's managed, so long as you're not mortgaging your house here to buy Bitcoin, okay, because if you do and it does this, then you're wrecked. Okay, so always be thinking about what do I stand to lose rather than what do I stand to win. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the fifth, okay? And we don't know how big or long that fifth is going to go on for. And if you put some respectable size on, okay, and by respectable, I mean you're respecting risk. I don't mean respectable in terms of you can tell Camel how big your position is and he'll go, oh yeah, nice one. What I mean is, if you put a position on here and the risk is managed, so you're not going to get, ruined financially or take a big chunk out of your account, particularly if you're new, okay, something that's going to be able to allow you to sit in a move, have a big 40% crash and maybe another 40% crash, something akin to this, okay, then you can still enjoy some of the ride. But just be honest with yourself. Be honest that you just found Bitcoin late. At some point, right, last cycle, many people showed up here, and that's fine, and they hung around, and they DCA'd the whole thing down, and now finally they're ready to take advantage of this. So you don't have to be trying to go all in here and catching meme coins and whatever else, okay? Just do the basics correctly, otherwise you're just going to train bad habits, or you're going to get wrecked in here when we get big shakeout, and then you're not going to be around for the long term. If you've made it this far and you're not sick of my ranting, okay, then I saved the best till last. Similarly to Peter Brand's cup and handle targets. So in each case, back in 2017, the red measured move gave 2.5k as a target, and the black measured move gave 9k as a target, and the top actually came in at 20k, significantly above both measured move targets. Back in 2021, the red gave a prediction of 25k, the black gave a prediction of 64k, and the top exceeded that by just a few $1,000, and we topped at 69k. Okay, now where are we today? The red measured move, okay, which I believe is the measurement from the handle, projects 130k as the measured move. The black, which is the bottom here to the top, shows around 320k for the measured move. And if we were to do what we always do, which is exceed this black target, that means the top might be above 320k. Okay, but to be honest, anywhere between about 180 and 350, I think will be pretty good. And then, of course, we'll be looking for that big bear market decline, 4-year cycle low, and off to the millions. Again, focus on the long term, right? That's how you change your life. And if you think all of that is insane, right, it's just crazy talk. Well, not only have we seen it a bunch of times before, not only would that be normal Bitcoin things, okay, but we're well on our way. You realize that it's not going to take much more before we get this 3 into 4, and then the big blow off fifth, okay? We could easily end up north of 150k, and I would not at all be surprised if we get above 250k. So again, nobody has any clue, right? It's all just speculation, it's all just TA, it's all just probabilistic outcomes. But if something even close to this is on the table, then again, the message remains the same. Don't get FOMO, don't get cute, don't be thinking you're something, okay? Treat this like a business, treat it seriously, think about what you're going to do ahead of time, and then stick to the plan, okay? If you do the basics right, you will be able to stay on the right side of the trade. And I would also suggest that we tune out narratives, okay? There's always a million reasons not to sell. There's always a million, well, the US is building a strategic reserve, right? And Michael Saylor's going to keep the price up forever. BlackRock will never allow the ETF to decline, right? All of that is utter BS, okay? All of it. And these fifth waves tend to happen very, very quickly. But what do you think is going to happen? This, and then we're just going to sort of chill out here? No, okay? Once we've completed this, we expect the largest correction since the entire move. So we're pretty close to that, okay? And things can happen very, very fast. So, I mean, try to enjoy it as best you can, right? Try to enjoy it, try to stay on the trend. But at the same time, this is the Dixie, right? This is the Dixie. I mean, are you not nervous? That's nervous. That's nervous laughter for sure, because I think I know exactly what's happening here, and it is right translation, and then off we go. That speaks to deflationary bust, deflationary crash type territory, okay? So yeah, Bitcoin can rally in the face of that for a little while, but again, I really think something like this, alarm bells should be ringing here, right? At the same time, I could probably see yields rolling over here, okay, which might, allow risk to run for a little bit more, but if they don't, again, alarm bells should also be ringing. Bitcoin continues to lock people out here. Okay, I'm getting close to drawing a new yellow squiggle up, but really, I think I know exactly what's going on. We've gone 1 2 1 2 1 2, and now we're going to go 3 4 3 4 3 4, and then 5. Okay, that's what I think is coming here. So anyway, we'll see. When we take a look at oil, okay, I don't think these cycle lows are in for oil. I think oil is probably going to come off very, very strongly. If that really was the 4-year cycle low, a weekly cycle low, and a daily cycle low, then it doesn't look anything like that at the moment. What we would normally expect to see is a big, strong push out of here. We haven't got it, which again fits with deflation, fits with a slowing demand, slowing economy, and all of that, of course, fits with the base case hypothesis of the entire channel, which is the blow off top, rate cuts somewhere around the top, and then a third angle violation, okay? And what have we got when we hop in here? We've exactly got a third angle, which is going to violate in the not too distant future. So this would be like the most extreme blow off top, and then maybe that gives a bit of distribution between the second and the third angle, whilst Bitcoin reaches those insane numbers. But then, you know, if this thing breaks down, then mission complete, right? We called it, blow off top to all-time highs, bear market recession, deflationary crash, dollar. Current rally in the dollar is supportive of deflation, okay? Notice the sea of investors out there targeting sub 100. Well, it doesn't look like it to me, okay? It looks like a 3 and a 15-year cycle low, which tells us there'll be plenty of upside coming. Also, we've got CPI soon, right? That will confirm probably that inflation is really, really cold. And then we're probably going to get some big shakeouts across the board. So I really, really don't think there's much change to the game plan. I really, really don't think anything too bad is occurring. I don't think anything outside of the ordinary is occurring. But what I do think is very, very few people are going to get this right. And you've even seen some of the bigger accounts lately monumentally screw this up, haven't you? Right? So I've said it a bunch of times before. As this top comes in and as the markets start to turn down and everything else, then what we're going to see is a whole heap of people that you currently hold in high regards, you currently think are real traders, leave the space. Right? Whether it's for family reasons, whether my dog died, whatever it's going to be, right? People are going to leave the space and they'll have some poor excuse. And really, it's because they're going to get blown up just like you are, right? That's the reality. This is a game where only around 10% survive and everyone else gets wrecked. And your favorite influencer online is not immune from that, right? Very few people now are even talking about this. Right, most people are like, we're early stages of a melt-up, we're early stages of a bull market, right? Well, we're not, okay? That's a third angle in the stock market. The Dixie is likely confirming a 15-year cycle low and a 3-year cycle low, and is looking pretty deflationary. We're going to get a cold CPI print soon, and then the writing's going to be on the wall, right? So yeah, there's absolutely time to see Bitcoin do something insane, and I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to see. But you have to manage expectations. You have to sell near the top. Actually have to sell. You have to avoid all the narratives that convince you not to sell, and that's no easy feat, okay? Most people are going to F this up. Anyway, my voice is tired. I bet this is really, really long, but hopefully it was worth it. Hopefully you found value here. Hopefully you'll consider what I said, and hopefully you'll do the basics right. Do the basics right and you can't go far wrong. Start to think you're going to short the absolute top and tell everyone you're Michael Burry, and that is how the sharks in this space will eat you for breakfast. So I'm your boy Camel, okay? Let's finish on this. I can't do the accent, I can't be asked. Anyway, I'm your boy Camel, and yeah, enjoy the bull market, but be careful, okay? You should be a little bit stressed, and if you're not, then there's probably something wrong. Until next time, peace.
Camel Finance, he's the man to see. Rocking the markets with his contrarian spree. Trades like a pro, no fear, no shame. Sticking to his guns in his money game. He's a